Hey guys, it's Zoe. So today I'm going to be talking about a super random book haul that I did back in December, the end of December that I'm finally getting around to now. I mentioned it in my last video as part of my January TBR, but I didn't want to talk about them then because I knew I'd be talking about them now. Like I mentioned in that video, I've been trying to get more into adult fantasy and adult fiction rather than just staying in YA. So this is one of my first outings, excursions, journeys. I don't know, this is one of my first times going into adult fantasy. I think this time when I went to the bookstore, I walked through the YA section and I was like, kind of bored. So I went to fantasy. And then I realized that there was a 30% off discount if you're buying mystery, fantasy, sci-fi, and romance, I think. So I figured, why the hell not? I'm gonna be getting 30% off and I have a gift card. Let's just go for some adult fantasy. I think the weirdest thing for me going into adult fantasy rather than something within YA is that I don't really know where to start. I've been reading YA for the past 10, 11 years I think now, and I know what I'm looking for. I have certain authors that if I see their name, I will buy their book right away just because I've fallen in love with them. It's a little creepy and stalkerish. I've fallen in love with their writing style. There we go. That's less stalkery. Anyways, totally off topic. I am all over the place today. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, going into adult fantasy, it just feels like a whole new world. So while I was walking around the fantasy section, I kept grabbing my phone, looking for recommendations. I've really been in the mood for dragons and non-human creatures, so I was Googling that, trying to find author recommendations and series recommendations, and one of the main things that I was doing while looking through was checking the review that you find sometimes on the front or on the back or in the first few pages to see if there were any reviews from authors that I am familiar with. It's not many, but there are a few, and that is actually what got me into two of these books that I have here. So yeah, I'm just gonna stop rambling now and get into the books. The first one I have is The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch, and this is one of the first ones where the author review is really what pulled me in. This one has one from George R.R. Martin. If you don't know who he is, he's the author of A Song of Ice and Fire or the Game of Thrones series. I absolutely love Game of Thrones. I've only watched like the first season or two, maybe 3, I don't remember, but I am trying to get through all of the books. I haven't finished the 5th one. I want to finish all of them before I start watching the series, but I love his writing style, and it's very dense. There's a lot going on, but it's exactly the kind of story that I'm into, so if he's recommending something, I am all over it. So The Lies of Locke Lamora is the first book in the Gentleman Bastard sequence. Like I mentioned in my other video, it gives me really Robin Hood-y kind of vibes. There's this guy known as the Thorn of Camor. Again, with the train! You'd think I'd learn not to film it this time when there's a train going by every day. There's somebody known as the Thorn of Camor who is said to be an unbeatable swordsman, a master thief, a friend to the poor. Is anyone else getting these Robin Hood vibes like me? I'm really getting Robin Hood vibes, but that just means it's kind of a retelling, so I'm happy. Anyways, turns out this Thorn of Camor is a guy named Locke Lamora. Hey Locke, how's it going? He's not really happy about being this fabled Thorn of Camor. He's a pretty small guy, can barely use a sword, he steals from the rich, but he definitely does not give it to the poor. So this whole Thorn of Camor is definitely legend based off of minimal fact, and this Locke guy is just not happy about being so famous for all the wrong reasons. Locke and his friends, the ones who are stealing everything and keeping it for themselves, are known as the Gentleman Bastards, hence the Gentleman Bastard sequence. So while Locke and his friends are out stealing from the rich and not giving it to the poor and just keeping it for themselves because they're a bunch of kind of a-holes, I'm assuming that's what I'm getting. There is a clandestine war going on that is threatening to tear apart the underworld of the ancient city of Camor, and Locke and his friends, his merry men, can't call them a band of merry men because they're not giving them to the poor. I'm struggling. Locke and the Gentleman Bastards get caught up in the middle of this war and are fighting just to stay alive. But if George R.R. Martin is calling it a fresh, original, and engrossing tale by a bright new voice, I'm gonna assume it's gonna be a good one. I had to open the curtains because it's getting kind of dark out, but I am mildly to moderately excited for this one. Next is the ever-dreaded word, the 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. One of the main reasons I picked this one up is because it's won a couple of awards and it's been nominated for a bunch. I'm hoping that because so many other people obviously thought it was a really good book, I am going to think the same thing as well. This book is basically about the world ending again. It starts with 3 bad things happening in one day. First, a woman named Essen comes home to find that her husband has murdered their son and kidnapped their daughter. She's not happy. Turns out she's not exactly what she seems. She's not the ordinary school teacher that everybody thinks she is, and she will stop at nothing to get her daughter back from her husband. The second thing that happens is a mighty empire collapses as its greatest city is destroyed by a single madman's vengeance. And the third thing that happens is a rift opens up known as the Great Red Rift that spans across the continent and spews red ash that will cover the sky possibly for centuries. While all this is happening, there are people in this land who can wield the earth as a weapon, and that's what people are more afraid of than the world ending, because in this land known as the Stillness, every few centuries they endure what is known as the 5th season, which is a time of catastrophic climate change. So what I'm gathering from this is that we are entering the story right before a 5th season where the world is about to end, but this time it's really ending for the very last time. This is something that seems really different from the type of fantasy I normally like to read, but I'm really intrigued by it. The only thing that's kind of turning me off a little bit is that I've started reading a little bit and some of the chapters are in second person. I don't think I've ever read a novel where it's in second person. I know I've read some fan fictions and those were really weird, so I don't know how much I'm going to like this with the second person aspect. I think that's the only thing I might not like though, but we'll just have to wait and see until I'm done. Next, I have Blood Print by, oh god, Osma Zehnat Khan, I think. One day I will learn how to pronounce his name properly. In the other video, I mentioned that this one really intrigued me because the little blurb thing on the front where it says the only defense against the ignorance of men is the brilliance of powerful women. It's really rare in fantasy novels to find something where women are not just considered property or are considered lesser than men. So I'm really excited to get into this one where it features a group of powerful women. Yes, this one does have women seen as lesser creatures in it because in this book, a power known as the Talisman, born of ignorance and persecution, has sprung up and it's led by a man only known as the One-Eyed Preacher. This power is a very old, very superstitious patriarchy that tries to suppress knowledge and subjugate women. So yes, this book does have that in there, but the only thing that can stop them is a group of powerful women. This story follows 2 women, Arian and Cinia, who may have discovered something known as the Blood Print, an ancient text that is probably the only thing that can defeat the Talisman. To find the Blood Print, they must go deep into Talisman territory, which is probably the most dangerous thing they could do, but they are helped by a young boy freed from slavery and a man who was once, what's her name? Arian's confidant and sword master. These 2 women go into this mission knowing that it is most likely a suicide mission and it's probably going to be their last, but they do it anyway to stop the patriarchy. It's my kind of woman. I think I might pick this one up next. I am highly anticipating this one. I hope it turns out as good as it sounds. Another main thing that really drew me to this one is the review on the bottom, where it says it's somewhere between N.K. Jemisin and George R.R. Martin. Like I mentioned before, I love George R.R. Martin, and the last book I talked about was by N.K. Jemisin, which won several awards, so I'm hoping that the writing style is somewhere in between that, and I really will love it. The 4th and final book I have is The Dragon's Path by Daniel Abraham, and this is the book that I am currently reading. As you can see, I've tabbed it a lot. I'm trying to get better with taking notes while I'm reading. I hate writing in books, so I have tabs. I have a separate notebook where I am writing quotes down that I like from the book. I'm trying to get better at doing all of this. Hopefully that will help me when I am doing reviews so I can actually remember what the hell I read. This book mainly follows 3 characters, Marcus, Cithrin, and still haven't figured out how to say it, but I think it's Getter, maybe Geeter. I think Getter. Jetter. I don't really know. I'm still trying to figure that out. Marcus is a former hero who just wants to live a normal life and is trying to stay out of the war that's brewing. Cithrin is a young girl who gets roped into smuggling the bank's nation. No. Cithrin is a young girl who gets roped into smuggling a bank's wealth through a war zone. She has to pretend to be a boy and she must hide the goods that she's traveling with from both sides. Nobody is supposed to know what's going on. So obviously we know that somebody's gonna find out. The third character, the one that I can't say his name, is the son of a noble house that really nobody takes seriously. He is just a pawn in the overall game that's going on. Nobody can predict if he will actually step up to the plate and become a good soldier. Basically, he just wants to sit around and read about ancient philosophy, and he gets ridiculed for it day in and day out. He has to hide this passion from people. He's kind of an annoying character so far, but I feel like there's something big that's going to happen with him. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm excited to see where his particular plotline ends up going. So while these three characters are going about their lives, there is a small spat between the Free Cities and the Severed Throne. I'm really interested to figure out why it's called the Severed Throne and what happened to sever said throne. Anyways, there is a small spat going on between those two entities that spirals into a much bigger conflict because people keep plotting against each other and nobody can sit and be happy with what they have, and everybody just wants more. While all that is happening, a historical figure comes back into play and he is trying to push everyone onto the Dragon's Path, which is basically the path to war and destruction. This one, yet again, has a little review from George R.R. Martin. This time he's saying this book is everything he looks for in a fantasy. I took that as a really good thing, and I'm almost halfway through at this point, and I absolutely love it. I cannot wait to finish this book and get into the rest of the series and find out how this is all gonna play out. This is exactly what I needed in my life, and I am super excited for the rest of it. So that was my super random fantasy book haul. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked, please subscribe down below and give it a thumbs up. To stay updated with my current reads and how I'm feeling about them, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads, all at You're a Book Nerd Zoe. That's all I have for you guys today, but my brother has a short message that he wanted me to share with you guys. This is something that is very near and dear to our family.
Do you like green eggs and ham? Oh, hey there. You caught us reading. I'm Zoe's brother John, and this is her nephew Xavier. The reason why I'm here is because I also stream on Twitch, and tomorrow, Saturday, January 6th at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, I'm going to be hosting a charity stream for cancer research. I have a cousin who's 5 years old who's battling against stage 4 neuroblastoma. My wife also has a cousin who just recently passed from a brain tumor. Oh, I lost a baby. Xavier! Wow. He might be yelling the rest of the time we're here. The only thing that most of us can do to help is to raise money. Even if you can come in and drop $2, any amount of money helps. There will be a donation link on the Twitch channel, which Zoe is going to kindly link down below. And if you could show up at any time during the 12 hours that I'll be streaming tomorrow, I would greatly appreciate it. And I will post a video that will describe everything you need to know about the charity, the disease, and ways to donate. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate all the amazing support you've been showing my sister. Let's finally beat cancer. It's affected way too many of our lives. I hope to see you tomorrow. Have a good one.
See you guys next time.